Okay, a quick tutorial on color management, color settings in Lightroom and Photoshop. A lot of people don't appreciate that RAW files have absolutely no color space, and it's up to you to apply the color space to the RAW file once you process it. For instance, in Lightroom, um, there is a RAW file and a JPEG beside each other. The JPEG will be in sRGB color space, but the RAW file, I need to tell Lightroom in the preferences under external editing, I need to set the color space in there, and I've set it to ProPhoto RGB instead of either sRGB, Adobe, or ProPhoto. ProPhoto, it says, is the recommended choice for best preserving details from Lightroom. Those are the settings that I use. If you think of all the blue colors in an image, for instance, if you're in sRGB, you might have a couple of thousand different shades of blue. If you go up to Adobe, you have maybe tens of thousands of colors of blue. If you go to ProPhoto, you'll maybe have several times that again. So ProPhoto gives you much better color gradation in each of the color channels. If I send, now this photo is completely unedited, it's straight from camera, everything is zeroed out, I haven't changed anything. If I just very quickly make a couple of changes, just square the shoulders, bring it in from the sides, and hit enter. Rather than wanging the sliders, I always advocate clicking on the word shadows, and then every time you press the plus key you go up 5 at a time. So there's plus 35 on the shadows. Highlights is the opposite. The minus key brings you down 5 at a time. So there's minus 20 on the shadows, or on the highlights. That looks pretty good to me. So I'm just going to go Photo, Edit in, Photoshop CC, and this image will now be sent through to Photoshop as a 16-bit TIFF file as a 16-bit image. Just be aware though that even though your image is 16-bit, masks are likely to be 8-bit. Don't ask me to start explaining that, but the masks in Photoshop, if you don't know what I mean, I can show you something here. That is an 8-bit mask where you're going to see, if you end up with these lines in your image, then it's by either your image or your mask is in 8-bit. You can source masks that are 16-bit, such as a panel called Lumenzia that I use, and you can see the difference in the mask. This is not an image you're looking at, this is a mask. So you don't have those same gradations in a 16-bit mask as you do with an 8-bit mask, and that's why it's important that your image to start off with is in 16-bit rather than 8-bit. That's the Lumenzia panel there, or TK Actions as well is one that I recommend. There you can see TK 16-bit, all the masks that action panel create will create 16-bit masks, so hopefully they will avoid any of the problems. If you're resizing an image, so if let's for instance work on this image and then save it for print, I will save it as is, as a TIFF file with in ProPhoto color space. But if I want to put it on the internet, I will use one of my resizing actions. For instance, there's the one. This is in landscape orientation, 1600 by 1200 pixels. So if I just press play, the image is now 1600 pixels on the long side. And in fact, that is 1208, so I need to change that to 1200. Now it's 1589 by 1200, so it now satisfies the requirements for your typical sRGB or typical PDI entry. But you cannot leave it in ProPhoto or Adobe color space. They don't look right when they're presented on the internet. So if you've had a problem with colors looking really weird when you upload an image onto the internet, then it's because it's not in sRGB color space. So my action includes an action to change the color space to sRGB. There's one there as well, just convert to sRGB. I don't need to play it because it's already in sRGB with that resizing action. And just final word, you cannot change up. So once I've changed from ProPhoto down to sRGB, I've thrown all those colors away. I can't just suddenly change back to ProPhoto and expect to get the same colors. I can physically do it. I can just go edit, convert to profile, and change it from the sRGB to ProPhoto again, but it has absolutely no effect whatsoever because the colors have already been taken out. You can change the color space down by throwing colors away, but you can't suddenly magic those colors back in again by changing back again. Okay, I hope that helps.